Welcome back to this new inspirational video. Today it's gonna be a short one, but it's about something Emmet has written decades ago. And he titled it, "You Must Be Born Again." It's about that spiritual, biblical concept of being born all over again, as Jesus even would say. So let's go over what he wrote. We are told concerning the teaching of Jesus that common people heard him gladly. This could easily have been inferred from the most superficial study of the Gospels. The man in the street, unsophisticated by theology or philosophy, has an intuitive perception of fundamental truth when he meets it that is often lacking in highly trained minds. Intellectual attainments may easily beget spiritual pride, and this is the only sin upon which our Lord was severe. Yet among the learned too, there were those, the more spiritually minded, who felt themselves attracted to the new teacher. He was unconventional, hopelessly out of favor with the authorities, a flouter of hollow traditions, and yet deep calleth unto deep, and so he had friends and followers in high places also. One of these who felt irresistibly drawn to seek for further light was Nicodemus. He had the thirst for divine things that will not be denied, but moral courage was not his strong point, and so he sought out the teacher by night. That he should have gone at all was proof of the compelling power of the urge. Clearly the unfoldment of his spiritual nature was, in spite of defects in character, the principal thing in his life, and clearly he was dissatisfied with the progress he was making. Jesus, he believed, had something to give that was vital, and that gift might be just the secret that he had hitherto eluded him, just the key he needed to unlock the spiritual treasure house of his soul. Jesus might be able to show him why he had so far failed to attain, why, as we should say in modern phraseology, he had failed to demonstrate, and the master's explanation was simple, concise, almost overwhelming in its directness. He said, "You must be born again." This statement sums up the whole science of demonstration, as it is practiced on the spiritual basis. It is verily a textbook of metaphysics compressed into 5 words. It tells the whole story. You stand where you do today, wherever that is, because you are the man or woman that you are. There is only one way under heaven by which you can be brought to stand anywhere else, and that is by becoming another man or woman. The person you are cannot stand anywhere else. A different one cannot stand where you are now. If you wish to go up higher, you can do so, and there's no limit to the height which you can attain upon that flight. But you must be born again. Why is it that we make so little progress, compared, that is to say, with what we might and should make in view of the knowledge that we all, in this teaching, possess, at least in theory? Why do we not change day by day and week by week from glory to glory, until our friends can scarcely recognize us for the same men and women? Why should we not march about the world looking like gods and feeling it, healing instantaneously all who come to us, performing the sinner, setting the captives free, and generally doing the works? Who did hinder you? And the reply is that demonstration, like all other things, has its price. That the price is that we be born again, and that in our secret hearts, too often, that is a price that we are not prepared to pay. We are in love with the present man or woman and all things that constitute them, and we are not prepared to slay them that the other may be born. We come into truth with our little finger, and the great things will not come to us until we come in with the entire body, and there's the rub. To come into truth with your whole body is to bring every conscious thought and belief to the touchstone of divine intelligence and divine love. It is to reject every single thing, mental or physical, that does not square with that standard. It is to revise every opinion, every habit of thought, every policy, every branch of practical conduct, without any exception whatever. This, of course, is something absolutely tremendous. It is no mere spring cleaning of the soul. It is nothing less than a wholesale tearing down and rebuilding of the entire house. Is it any wonder that all but the very strongest spirits shirk it? And yet, is it any wonder that without it one never really does get anywhere? It means, as St. Paul said, dying daily. It means parting with all the prejudices that you have inherited and acquired during all your life. It means taking the knife to all the little faults of character, petty vanities, minor deceits, and all those lesser forms of selfishness and pride that crystallize your spiritual joints and are so dear to you. It may mean giving up the biggest thing in your present life, but if it does, well, that is the price that must be paid, and that is all about it. If you are not prepared to pay this price, well and good, but you must not expect to receive from the law more than you pay for. a little finger in truth as well, but it can only produce a little finger result. For a full-length demonstration, the whole body must be full of light. You must be born again. That is what he had to write about the matter. And ultimately, that dying daily that he mentioned briefly, there's a whole lecture done by Neville Goddard as well, where he also talked in his own way about this concept that dying daily is of course not how we normally perceive it, where somebody drops and gets buried. We're talking about dying to our old self-image, to the person that we are, which means to let go, to walk away from what we were so that we can embrace what we want to be. Very simple example is this YouTube channel again for me, is that it's not complicated to make these videos necessarily. It did take a lot of years of study for me to be even able to talk about consciousness in this manner. But you see, when I started out, I had to build the self-image of being a content creator online. My old image of self was one of somebody that perhaps should get a job or at least do stuff that most people are doing just to fit in. But then I wanted to do something greater, and I had to symbolically die to that old concept of self. I had to let go of these old habitual ways of thinking and living and perceiving my own potential so that I can embrace and be born again into this new activity of life, or in my life itself right now. So that's how it's going to be for you as well. There's going to be things that you want to achieve and realize in your life, and they demand of you that you let go of certain habitual patterns of the mind. And then as you do so and you embrace new patterns, that is what it means to be born again. You transform your mind. It ties beautifully into that saying from the Bible as well, that you have to be renewed by the transforming of your own mind. That's how we do it. We build a different concept of what we want to be and then fully embrace that inside our consciousness so that we learn to live up to that. Do you get it? Because if you do, you can start applying it right now in your life towards any goal you have. It doesn't matter what it is. It's actually also with weight goals, for example. People have such issues losing weight or at least living healthier. But again, they must be born again in this sense. They embrace a healthier lifestyle first and foremost mentally inside consciousness. That they become familiar with eating healthier, living healthier, exercising regularly, stuff like that. So that becomes habitual for them to actually operate from that state of mind. And that means they have transformed themselves inwardly and they were born again, causing them to act differently physically. And therefore their friends and family, yes, if they've never seen them live like that, will be like, what happened to you? You changed your whole life around. You are acting totally different. Again, this is a pretty simple example, but if you start thinking about it for yourself, you start to grasp how you can apply this in your own life towards any goal you have, because it will work. This is one of those powerful things of consciousness that you can apply consciously and willingly. It's in your total control to have fun with this. So I hope you'll use it and do some great things in your own journey. Now, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.